Alright. There's the stream. Hopefully it isn't too far away. Taking a while to get this ready, but it's now ready. Of course there's a Twitch ad. Thanks, Twitch. This is exactly the wrong time to have a Twitch ad, as I'm trying to check that everything is working. Stream's certainly up and running. Just need to check audio. Alright. Yep, audio is working as it should, so the stream's up, the chat's up, we're all good to go. That is fantastic. Hello everyone and welcome to round 15 of the AM1 Championship here on Contest of Speed. I'm Lane Everingham, your commentator for this event, and today we're racing at the Marina Bay Street Circuit for the Singapore Grand Prix. Constructed in 2008 and designed by track-making Supremo Herman Tilke, Singapore is well known for two things. Firstly, for being the home of the first ever night race in Formula One history, and secondly, for being the longest race on the modern Formula One schedule. The 3.15 mile, 23 turn racetrack has one of the lowest average speeds of any circuit in Formula One, and that is with the help of 3 DRS zones that lead into the prime overtaking spots of Turn 1, Turn 7 and Turn 14. With it being a street circuit, concrete walls line almost every inch of the racetrack. This means if a driver makes a mistake, big or small, it can and probably will prove to have race-ending consequences. This is particularly notable in areas such as the infamous Singapore Sling at Turn 10 and the following Anderson Bridge complex of Turns 11, 12 and 13. The longevity of this event adds to the established high demand of the street course, turning the race into a proper test of endurance. But before we focus on the important qualifying session, there is a bit of news to go through first from the previous round in Imola. Now, from what I've gathered, there were no penalties dished out by the stewards post-race. As a result, the final finishing positions from that race remained unchanged. Additionally, when I read out the championship standings from that race at Imola, I didn't have the correct updated standings, but I do have them for today's race. Vermeer is leading the way on 230 points, followed by Barmer 22 on 214. Now Barmer is once again absent for today's event, so if Vermeer just finishes in this race, and I imagine if he finishes, he's going to finish pretty highly. He's really going to extend his championship lead heading into the next round at Shanghai. Third in the Drivers' Championship is Darth Vader on 90 points, followed by Cam Tizzle on 86. Then we have Drake Dempsey and Electric Blade, both on 78 points, followed by Bersey on 59, Stubley on 52, Switchback on 39, and Elite Game Boy rounds out the top 10 on 34 points. In the Constructors, Ferrari are leading the way on 322 points, followed by Red Bull on 302, just 20 points, separating the top two in the Constructors. Next is Alpine on 179, followed by McLaren on 167, Haas on 156, Williams on 124, Aston Martin on 69 points, followed by Alfa Romeo on 53, then AlphaTauri on 38, Mercedes on 25. I have to double check that with the Mercedes one. I might not have updated that properly. But regardless, the main point to get across is that Ferrari are leading the way, not by much as well, by only 20 points, and we still have 3, potentially 4 rounds left in this championship. We're going to ride on board with our current championship leader, give you a guided tour of this 3.1 mile, 23 turn circuit. Down the main straight towards turn 1, braking just before the 50 board, bringing it down to 4th gear, back on the power, through turn 2 and around the left-hand hairpin of turn 3. Around the small kink of turn 4, we'll head up towards the critical right-hander of turn 5. It's important that you get the exit right here so you can maximise the top speed heading towards this right-hand kink of turn 6. And and more importantly, the best overtaking spot on the circuit, turn 7. Nice and quickly through there in 4th gear, up into turn 8, down to 3rd gear, a short shift mode keeping him in 3rd all the way around the hairpin, around turn 9, and onto this fairly lengthy straight, heading towards the most infamous part of the circuit, the Singapore Sweep, turn 10, down to 3rd gear, back on the power, and make our way through the chicane of 11 and 12, over the Anderson Bridge, and into the hairpin of turn 13. Down to 3rd gear, back on the power, and head into the final DRS zone on the circuit, as Andre has retired from the section. I believe he's crashed out at the final corner. Out of turn 14, we'll make our way to the final part of the lap, turn 15, then the cascade of 90s here in the final sector, turns 16 and 17, up towards turns 18 and 19 as we go underneath the spectator grandstand, and towards turns 20 and 21. Then we have to negotiate the final 2 corners on the racetrack, turns 22 and 23. 5th gear carried all the way around the final 2 corners. The move jumps up to provisional pole position with a 1 minute 38.762. Bummer chicken as Acid Masters has left the session. Hopefully he's able to rejoin as soon as possible. So we've already got 2 cars out of qualifying, No Name and Andre. I know that isn't exactly how you pronounce that, it's Polish, but yeah, not very good at speaking Polish. But in English it's Andre. It's close enough. Apologies regardless for me not being able to pronounce it correctly. Cam Tizzle on a flying lap, making his way towards turn 14. Definitely a potential overtaking spot thanks to the DRS so you get down that straightaway, but it's still quite a difficult area to try and pass into turn 14. Through this final sector, you really can't do anything in terms of passing through here. It's all about getting the line right through every one of these 90-degree corners. Of course, we won't have to deal with that as much in F1 23 as the circuit has been redesigned thanks to some actual real-life developments around, I believe it's called the float area of Singapore. This whole area is being rebuilt, so the track had to be redesigned as a result. Whether or not the circuit will return to its original layout remains to be unknown, but for this year, that whole bus stop area will be completely gone for F1 23. Yellow flags out in the first sector as Chase invalidates his lap coming around the final 2 corners. He would have done a 38.8. That would have put him P6 on the board. Fortunately though, with that costly mistake, the time doesn't count. I imagine, folks, as well, for anyone watching the stream, this is going to be a pretty lengthy one. No surprises again that attendance isn't particularly great. Only 13 cars for this event. For the longest race we're going to do on the schedule. So I imagine I'm going to have to do a fair amount of rambling that has nothing to do with the race going on in front of us. Fortunately, there is a few things that I can freely talk about with the upcoming F1 23 game as well as the upcoming Monaco Grand Prix on this weekend. Very much looking forward to that. Grim making his way out onto the circuit. Also, just to note as well, it's going to be completely dry for both qualifying and in the race. We are set to have slightly overcast conditions, but I don't think that will affect the drivers too much. The main thing is that we're not going to get any rain whatsoever for this Grand Prix. As Acid Masters has rejoined the session, that's good to see. Hopefully he'll be able to get out there and at least try and set one flying lap. Even with a field of 13 cars, it's quite important that you try and maximise qualifying as best you can. Singapore being a street circuit, it's naturally difficult to overtake, so gaining as much as you can in qualifying really does help out in trying to secure the best result possible for yourself. Chase, I believe, will be making his way into the pits, as I believe Aston Masters has gotten behind the wheel of his car. You can tell from the flickering leaderboard from just a few moments ago. As Grim does a burnout in front of the crowd. His rear tyres will be nice and warm as a result. Good evening, Matty. Nice to see you in the chat. Around the final two corners and onto the main straightaway, Grim will begin a flying lap. Currently P7 with a 39.8. He'll have to improve by a fair chunk if he wants to improve position. Through the turn 1, 2, 3 complex and heading around the small kink of turn 4. He'll now make his way into turn 5. A very tricky right-hand corner with a bit of negative camber at the apex. You really do have to cut a fair chunk of that corner in order to take the optimal racing line. You have to be very careful because you can get a bit screwed over thanks to the little hump at the apex. As I said, there's a bit of negative camber and it pushes the car away from the racing line. And if it pushes you too far, well, you'll go into the barrier on the outside of the corner. Grim making his way towards the famous Singapore sling. This used to be an incredibly notorious and even more incredibly stupid chicane that used to exist there back on the original layout. Thankfully, it took through a brain and worked out that having that chicane isn't a great thing for the sake of the racetrack, and redesigned the circuit back in 2013. Cam has broken his front wing on an outlap, so he'll have to go back into the pits with that front wing replaced. Thankfully, you've still got plenty of time left in qualifying in order to do that. Grim making his way through the final sector and around turns 20 and 21 up towards the final two corners on the racetrack. Very fast, very tricky complex, 22 and 23. Grim crosses the line and improves by 0.8 of a second. 39.031 is his lap time. Preferred's making his way through the final part of the lap through 20 and 21. Nice and close to the barrier on the outside around the final two corners. Up towards the line, Preferred's will improve by just a shade under 0.4 of a second. Set of 38.390. Stubley on a flying lap attempt, making his way up towards the first sector split. Up to 8th gear, entry speed of 184 miles an hour, bringing it down to an apex speed of about 81 miles an hour there at turn 7. Down the hill towards turn 9, and down to 4th gear, back on the power, using a healthy amount of the racetrack on the outside of turn 9, round turn 10, well, that was a costly mistake, turning in a bit too much at that left-hand kink. He's clobbered the inside barrier, and he's out of qualifying. Oh, and Preferred's has done the same. At the same corner, he's clipped the inside barrier and destroyed his front wing. Fortunately, he's still in this qualifying session. Obama Ticker's coming up to the corner, and he does no such thing. It's nowhere near the inside barrier there at the Singapore sling, and as a result, his car's still in one piece. Never mind. Spinning out, putting the car into the barrier. He's now destroyed his front wing. Matty Robbo making his way down towards turn 14. Did I see a soft tyre just sitting at the side of the racetrack? Give me a second. I'm going to have a look at Chase here as he makes his way onto the straightaway before turn 14. Is there just a soft tyre sitting there? Yeah, there is. On the outside of turn 14, there's this random soft tyre just sitting there. Got no business being there, but it's there. Over the curbs at 16 and 17. In games past, you really have to touring car your way over those curbs. You have to absolutely clobber them. In this game, however, those curbs at 16, and more importantly turn 17, are a bit more elevated. The floor of the car bottoms out over those curbs, causing the car to understeer as Chase jumps up to P2 with a 37.7. Still 1 second off our current pole sitter, that is the move in the Ferrari. Johnny Damon getting ready for a run. Acid Masters, I believe, is going back to pit lane with a little over 4 minutes left in qualifying. He does have to be careful with how much time he gives himself for his final run. With it being a fairly lengthy racetrack, in terms of time at least, you really do have to manage the qualifying clock quite well. As well, it doesn't matter because Acid Masters has crashed out. That is at the exit of turn 17. This really isn't giving me the best of hope heading into this race. We got 4 cars out of qualifying. They only got 13. I pray that everybody can get through the race, at least finish. Something I was a bit annoyed with last week is that drivers just voluntarily retired out of the race, even though the field was quite small. Ended up finishing with only 10 drivers. Cam Tizzle making his way through the Singapore sling. Nice and tidy from the Alpine driver over the bridge, up towards the hairpin at turn 13. Brings it down to first gear, short shifts up to second. Gets nice and close to the barrier on the outside there and heading down towards turn 14. Hello, KD. Nice to see you in the chat. Up by 3.5 tenths. Cam Tizzle as he now begins the final sector. And the second gear back on the power, short shifting up to third. Makes his way towards turns 18 and 19, brings it down to second, short shifts to third again. Makes his way towards turns 20 and 21. Plenty of short shifting going on for Cam Tizzle, trying to make sure the back end of his car stays in check. Cam jumps up to P2 with a 37.519. About 8 tenths off the move's provisional pole lap. The move is now making his way out of the pit. Robbo, Damon, Johnny on a flying lap, making his way around the final corner to set a 38.6 P7s at the moment for the Haas driver. Rem doesn't appear to be on a flying lap. Profo's getting ready for a run, making his way through the Anderson Bridge complex. Barmer Chicken beginning a flying lap. Back end of the car, stepping out quite a bit through there, but he managed to just about keep control of his Ferrari. Tidy run out of turn 5, you'll open DRS. Head around turn 6 and towards turn 7. Entry speed of 185 miles an hour brings it down to 73 at the apex of turn 7. Around turn 8, down to second gear, short shifting up to third. Makes his way around turn 9. Oh, getting very, very close to the barrier on the outside of the left-hander. He'll make his way around turn 10 and through the chicane of 11 and 12. Around turn 13 and onto the back straightaway. Oh, I suppose it's the back straightaway. It's kind of is. No, the update hasn't come out yet, KD. Won't come out for a few hours. Barber making his way through the final part of the lap. Graham on a flying lap attempt is up by 23 thousandths to the middle sector. Sorry, to the first sector. He's making his way through the middle sector as I speak. Profo's up by almost 2/10 of a second as he makes his way through the middle sector. Getting very close to the barrier on the outside of turn 9. Vermoo, our current pole sitter, making his way out of turn 5. He'll have the open, making his way around turn 10, around turn 6 and into turn 7. Flipping the outside barrier there. Makes his way around turn 8 and down towards turn 9. Cam and Obama have finished qualifying, got other drivers on flying laps right now. The Moon makes his way around turn 10 into turns 11 and 12. Now the fourth gear, back on the power, Off the curves, over the bridge and into turn 13. Down to third. Back on the power, nice and easy. We'll open DRS and head up towards the middle sector split. Clock says for Moo, he's up by 5.5 tenths of a second, so he's looking at a low 36 right now. Might be able to jump into the 35s. Those only time will tell. Out to turn 17, towards turns 18 and 19. Down to third gear, back on the power. Tidy. And the Ferrari driver making his way through 20 and 21. Towards turns 22 and 23. The Moo will cross the line to set a 1 minute 36 exactly. How about that for a pole time? Right on the button. Chase will come around the final 2 corners. He might be able to start on the front row. If he didn't do that, understeering wide at the final 2 corners, costing him the opportunity to try and improve. He'll start P3. So, Moo, our championship leader, qualifies on pole. Quite some margin as well. 1.5 seconds between the top 2 as Cam Tizzle will start on the front row. Chase will start P3 with Preferred's P4. Electric Blade will round out the top 5. Stubbly will start from P6, followed by Johnny Damon and Acid Masters down in P8, with Grim and Obama Chicken rounding out the top 10. Matty Robbo setting a lap time will start P11. No Name and Andre started from the back. Neither driver set a lap time during the session. There we are, a bit of drama over the course of that qualifying session. A fair few drivers spinning out during that. A fair few drivers retiring during that session. Dearie me. As I said before, we're not set to have any wet weather interference during the race. It's going to be overcast, but it should be dry. I'd be a bit curious to see who starts on what time. I do believe here at Singapore it's a fairly straightforward strategy. Either medium hard or hard medium. The soft tyre in race conditions is a bit useless, as it is with just about every other racetrack in this godforsaken game. Alright, when the timer hits 0, have a look at who's starting on what tyre for this Singapore Grand Prix. Just waiting everyone to load in. There we are. I see a fair bit of white at the front. There you go. So we got Moo and Cam Tizzle on the front row. They're both starting on the hard compound tyre. Chase in P3, electing to start on the medium compound tyre for the Singapore Grand Prix. We have Preferreds in P4, starting on the hard tyre. Electric Blade doing the opposite to his teammate, is starting on the medium. Preferred spin down there, turn 5. Stubbly P6 is starting on the hard, staying with his teammate, Johnny Damon in P7. As well as Acid Masters in P8, Grim in P9, and Obama Chicken in P10. Matty Robbo will start P11 on the mediums. No Name is doing the same, and same with Andre at the back of the field in 13. So we have 5 drivers on the medium compound tyre. We got 7 on the hards, a grand total of 0 on the soft tyre, as expected. Get rid of that for now. Oh, it's going to be a really, really long race, folks. As somebody spun out, I do believe that is Electric Blade spinning at the exit of turn 13. Yeah, this isn't filling me with a great deal of hope. So a fair few drivers spin during qualifying. I'm now watching drivers spin on the formation lap, and some of those drivers spinning are on the medium compound tyre, and I can't help but feel when they pit onto the hard tyre during the race, they really got to be on top of their game on a cold tyre, a cold hard tyre. especially exiting the pits here at Singapore. It's a very tricky pit exit. Remove spins. Tyres nice and warm, ready for the start. Yeah. Good to hear Bowman's recovered from his injury and able to hop back in the 48. Barry can go back to his duties, focus on his duties over in Xfinity. As everyone's lining up, getting ready to race. And lining up into his slot. That is a terrible lineup. Where's everything going? Alright, we got 10 red lights. And we're underway here at Singapore. For some reason, all the stuff disappeared. Down towards turn 1 we go. Oh my word! Preferreds and Aston Martins almost coming together as Chase moves into P2. Blade up into P4, Stubbly P5. We have Grimm and Preferreds battling away, heading towards turn 5. Preferreds gets in front and moves into P6. Grimm down to 7, Johnny Damon down to 8. Aston Martins almost put into the wall on the main straightaway. He's down to P9. As Blade moves through into 3rd position on the medium compound tyre. He needs to be aggressive at the start on those mediums. He needs to catch up to Chase and try and keep up with Vermeulen. Vermeulen is going to be a pretty tough guy to try and beat in this event. Down towards the Singapore Sling. There's the 2 leaders, then the 2 Alpines, followed by Stubbly in 5th, then Preferreds in P6. Looking at the position changes, Cam down 2, Preferreds down 2. Damon and Aston Martins down 1 each. No Name's overtaken Matty Robbo. Robbo's down to 12th. Andre still at the back in 13th position. It seems that the field's starting to settle down. No one's really close enough to try and battle for position just yet. Keep our eyes then towards the front of the field. Vermeulen's already got a 2nd on Chase in P2. Blade trying to close in on those medium compound tyres. Heading up towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack. Well, end lap 1. Not too much drama on the first lap. Everyone's still running. I don't know if anyone's got damage just yet. Matty Robbo close in behind. No Name. Not close enough to attack into turn 1. No Name goes into the back of Obama Chicken at turn 1. Spins the Ferrari down to last. Oh dear. Well, you had no drama on the opening lap. Had a bit of drama on the 2nd lap though. Matty Robbo closed again on No Name down towards turn 7. Looks to the inside but doesn't commit to a move. Oh, No Name runs wide. Robbo looking round the outside here at turn 8. No Name keeps the position. Oh dear. Everyone kept it tidy enough at the start, and then yeah, No Name went and did that at turn 1 on lap 2. Gap sits at 1 second between the top 2 here. Chase on the medium compound tyre doing the best he can to try and keep up with the race leader. As qualifying demonstrated, Vermeulen's got a lot of pace and he should be unchallenged in this event. Electric Blade, he's now 1.6 seconds behind Chase. Doesn't seem to have the pace to keep up with Chase. There's enough pace though to keep Cam Fizzle behind, and he's actually pulling away from his teammate. The gap has increased to 2 seconds. Yellow's out, it's Chase who has spun at the final corner. Oh dearie me. There he is there, broken front wing and all. As we have a virtual safety car. Virtual safety car has been deployed. Chase now has to do an entire lap with that destroyed front wing. He really needs a safety car to try and save his chances of a decent result in this race. That's completely lifted the pressure off our race leader, Vermeulen. Be Able to gather himself here as DRS is now enabled. We're back under green flag racing here in Singapore. The Moo is our race leader. He's got 2.3 seconds back to Electric Blade in the Alpine. Behind him is his teammate Cam Tizzle, who's got Stubbly and Profodes hunting him down. DRS open on Stubbly's Haas and on Profodes Red Bull. They'll be closing in on Cam here towards turn 14. Not close enough to go for a move just yet. All three cars are on the hard compound tyre, so this is a genuine battle for position. There's no strategy games just yet between these three cars. Matty Robbo close. Not going to go for a move through here. It's impossible to make a move through the final sector here in Singapore. Maybe with the track's redesign for 2023, we might be able to see some overtaking through the final sector. Turns 1, 2 and 3. Probably a bit too far behind Cam right now. Needs to get a bit closer if he wants to challenge the Alpine driver for position. As Chase pits in to get his front wing repaired. These guys are quite close enough yet. Johnny Damon closing in on Grimm. Not by enough though to attack into turn 7. Everyone hold station. We've got a 5-car train here with Grimm leading the way. We've got a 3-car train battling for 3rd position with Cam leading the way. Vermood pulling away from Blade. Blade pulling away from his teammate. Around turn 13 onto the straightaway heading towards turn 14. Lovely chipping away at the gap. He might be able to line up a pass shortly. Seems that Profodes doesn't quite have the pace compared to both Cam and Stubbly. Make our way through the final sector underneath the grandstand. Up towards turns 20 and 21 on the racetrack. Stubbly. Is he close enough? I don't think so. Not quite close enough yet. It's now lap 5 of 31. We've got a really long way to go. Round turn 3. The gap sits at half a second between these two. As Obama gets by Andre. That is for P11. Lovely with DRS open, closing in on the Alpine. He's got momentum. He looks, doesn't commit to the move. He stays behind. Profodes still hanging about in P5. Johnny Damon closing in on Grimm, not by enough to attack the Mercedes driver. See the flashing red light on the back of Grimm's car. He's low on battery. He's on 6%. Compared to Johnny Damon, who's on 52. Acid Masters on 65, 63%. No Name, similar situation compared to Grimm, very low on battery. Matty Robbo has got a fair chunk of battery, 87% next to his name. So he's just chilling about in P10. Doesn't really go for any sort of move just yet. Here's your battle for P3. Cam, Stubbly, Profodes. We'll make our way around turn 18 and turn 19 up towards turns 20 and 21. Leader begins lap 6. Vermoo still out in front with a 3.7 second margin to Electric Blade, who's got 3.5 seconds to this man, Cam Tizzle. Spinning in the background, it's Grimm. He spins at the final corner. Oh, hello, Obama. Oh, dearie me. Oh. Thankfully, there wasn't an accident from that. Stubbly's had a spin as well. That's at turn 2. Stubbly now down to 9th position. Releases some of the pressure from Cam Tizzle. Can Profodes close in though? The gap sits at 1.3 seconds. Down the inside, contact between the two cars there at turn 7. As Robbo moves through into 7th place. No Name down to 8th. Stubbly can't really tell if he's got any damage. Don't think he does. So he needs to get his head down, try and close up. And the drivers in front, we still have a train. Now being led by Johnny Damon in the Haas. It's turn 14. Matty just about got it pulled up there at turn 14. Oh, it's Stubbly though. Looked like from the background shot I had, he really sent it into 14 there. Matty, can he find a way by Acid Masters here? Making his way around the final 2 corners. Oh, Acid runs wide. Here comes Matty Robbo. Slots into the slipstream, heading towards turn 1. Doesn't go for a move here. With turn 2 and around turn 3. The gap sits at 0.3 of a second as Graham gets by Andre at turn 1. He moves into P11. Acid with no DRS, he's now vulnerable to the Williams and Matty Robbo. Down the inside, into turn 7. Matty gets in front. Acid leaving the door wide open, checking up at the apex as well. Letting Matty through, he moves down to P7. Matty Robbo up to P6. Next target will be Johnny Damon in the Haas. Here's your race leader, Vermouth. 5.6 seconds is the gap now. He's continuing to extend his lead in this race. Hard tyres working well. He's in a good state of mind. Just cruising at the moment. That's all he needs to do. And as we know, this racetrack is one of the most demanding on the calendar. A single mistake can cost you dearly. He needs to stay focused. Otherwise, that one slight mistake can completely destroy his chances of a race win. 1 second is the gap between Cam and Profodes. This battle isn't over for P3. Profodes with a bit of a fuel problem though. He's 0.7 laps under. Hopefully he'll be able to gain that back over the course of this race. Sparks flying out from underneath the cars as they bottom out into turn 7. Round turn 8 and up towards turn 9. No Name now has a Haas in his wing mirrors. That is Stubbly in P9. He's on the recovery after his incident a few laps ago at turn 2. The gap sits at 4.5 of a second. So they exit turn 9 and head towards the Singapore Sling. No Name avoiding the curbs. It's a wise thing to do. You lose time because it's not the optimal racing line, avoiding those curbs, but it is a smart thing to do because those curbs can be very, very dangerous to touch. One false move, the car gets unsettled, and suddenly you're in the barrier. Stubbly losing a little bit of time. The gap has increased to almost a second. See if he can close in through this section. Matty Robbo was doing exactly that to Johnny Damon. He's now 0.6 behind as he heads through turns 20 and 21. Around the final 2 corners, 22 and 23. Like down the main straightaway with DRS open, closing in a little bit. Johnny Damon, not by enough though. Stubbly is in. Doubly damage, perhaps? I don't know, but he's in. Yeah, that's a front wing change for sure. So a set of medium tyres on the car. New front wing bolted on, and away he leaves. Well, that's a shame. He's now got a ton of work to do. He has to essentially try and make a two-stop work. One thing that can help him out is a safety car. But at the moment, everyone's still running. I say that. Johnny Damon's just spun. That's at turn 9. He's now facing the wrong way. He's now facing the right way. Gets going again. Obama Chicken will move by into 8th position. Here comes Grim. Two closing in around the Singapore sling. Around the chicane of 11 and 12. Over the Anderson Bridge and into turn 13. Hello, Cornish man. Miss anything? Yeah, we've had bits and bobs. Had a few spins here and there. A bit of drama during qualifying. The move's pole lap was a 1 minute 36.000. Literally on the dot. Oh, is Damon... Did he let Graham through, or did he make a mistake? He might have just let Grim through there. He's moving himself down to P10. Is he pitting? No. Yes? No. Stays out. So, he either made a mistake, or he deliberately got out of the way and just let Grim through. Yeah, not much going on here at Singapore. Long race. And we're not even at the 1/3 mark yet. Closing in on it. Can No Name do anything here? He's half a second behind. Johnny Damon's closing in on Grim. Yellow flags are at its chase. Down the inside. Damon had a real look at that. Couldn't get it done. Chase. Again, a spin at the final corner. Gets going again, but he's now a long way behind Stubley on hard tyres. Yeah, this is going to be a long race for the McLaren driver. Over the Anderson Bridge, there's Obama Chicken, then Grim and Johnny Damon. This is the battle for P9. Into the straightaway heading towards turn 14. Shifted into 7th gear. He's not close enough to do anything into the right-hander. Now he needs to try and shadow the Mercedes as best he can through this section. Try and keep time lost to a minimum. That way you can try and set up an overtake down the main straightaway into turn 1. Around turns 20 and 21. Down towards 22 and 23. Damon's close. Using a bit of battery, using some DRS, using the slipstream. He draws alongside, bombs it into 1, and moves through into P9. A clean overtake there from Johnny Damon as very pit. Front wing damage? Doesn't look like it. This is just a scheduled pit stop. Stubley sets a new fastest lap. Graham with DRS open. Can he counter-attack here into turn 7? Don't think so. He's a bit too far behind. Damon will hang on to P9 for now. And the sights set on Obama Chicken to try and close in. The gap sits at 2 seconds between P8 and P9. Meanwhile, in P7, No Name still on the back of Acid Masters, making his way over the Anderson Bridge and into the hairpin of turn 13. Slight overshoot there from No Name. He got the car just about pulled up. Head towards turn 14. On battery, No Name only 10% compared to 63 in the Aston Martin of Acid Masters. Oh, huge slide there at turn 16. But Acid keeps his Aston in check. He heads through the final part of the lap, pulling away from No Name. The gap has increased to 7.5, now 8.5 tenths. No Name staying out. He's not ready to pit just yet. Those medium tyres still doing good. Cam Tizzle, meanwhile, has closed in on his teammate, Electric Blade. The gap sits at 0.4 of a second. DRS open, heading towards turn 6, but more importantly, heading towards turn 7. Down the inside, moves through, clean pass, as you'd expect between teammates. Cam moves through into P2, Electric Blade down to P3. An opportunity perhaps for Profodes to try and move by Electric Blade, move himself onto the podium. No Name still keeping up with Acid Masters, so this isn't done. Yellow's out, it's Stubbly. Spinning at turn 2, no less. So Chase has spun twice at the final corner, and now Stubbly has spun twice through turn 2. Deary me. He's really backed off as well. He's not too happy with himself, I'd imagine. He's really checking out. Not completely sure why. Thought it might have been for hot tyres, but I think he's just given up. Judging off that. Is it ongoing again? Seems like it. Gap has increased to 1.1 seconds between the two Alpines, and the gap has shrunk between Blade and Profodes, so probably going to have a battle on here for P3 as we begin lap 13. Round turn 4, up towards turn 5. No Name pits in. He's done with those medium compound tyres. He's going to put on the hards, go to the end. Profodes close in a little bit thanks to the power of DRS, but he's not closing in by enough. Still a fair ways behind the Alpine, making his way through turn 8 and towards turn 9. Talking on there from all three drivers. As we make our way through the Singapore Sling. Everyone gets through unscathed, through the chicane of 11 and 12, over the Anderson Bridge and towards the hairpin of turn 13. Down to first gear. Really short shift, there we go. Second, third, fourth, DRS open, fifth, sixth gear, seventh gear. Back down to second for turn 14, short shift up to fourth. And now head through the final path of the lap. See the two drivers of Blade and Profodes avoiding the inside curve at turn 16. Underneath the spectator grandstand towards turns 20 and 21. Blade peels off. He goes into pit lane. You do have to be careful through here. Pit lane comes at you very quickly. Blade does a good job managing his speed. Right. Front wing change as well. Going to cost him an extra 5 seconds or so. He leaves now down P8. He'll move behind Grimm as well. Now down to 9th. He's on fresh hards now. He does have to be quite careful on these tyres. Not going to have a lot of grip. Around turn 3. You need to be very careful on the power, and he is. Around turn 5. Keeps the car in check. Johnny Damon behind Obama Chicken, 7/10 of a second separating these two. We head down towards the Singapore Sling. 6th gear, back down to 4th gear for Damon as he gets back on the power through turn 11, through turn 12, over the Anderson Bridge and into 13. What can Damon do here? He's got DRS to help him out. He's too far behind though, so he needs to string together a pretty solid final sector to try and challenge Obama. 15, 16, and then turn 17 here. Underneath the grandstand, the gap shrinks to 5.5 tenths. Back up to 6. Through the final chicane, up towards the final 2 corners on the racetrack. Damon, he's gained time. He's still not quite close enough, but he has gained time. Round turn 3. Back on the power. Up through the gears, heading towards turn 5. Needs to get a nice run out of here. It's tidy, but Obama matches it. In fact, Obama did better out of turn 5. He pulled away. Gap sits at 6/10 of a second between these two, so it's a fairly even contest. You can see as well, Obama's running low on battery, only 8%. So Johnny, he has the advantage in terms of battery life. He's got an extra almost 20% at his disposal. So we head over the Anderson Bridge once again. Meanwhile, the rest of the field is pretty well spread out. Vermeer out in front by a whopping 16.9 seconds. Now clicked over to 17. It's going to increase even more thanks to that mistake. Profodes into the pits. So he's going to go for an undercut. He's put it into neutral. Not the best of pit entries there from Profodes. Will pit onto the medium compound tyre. On they go, away he leaves. Acid Masters will move up into P4. Here comes Obama and Johnny. There's Profodes. Where he's pit lane. Gee, that does take a while. I thought he'd be exiting a bit closer to those two, but no, he lines up in 8th place behind Grim. Of course, all of these guys still have to make a stop. Obama must have made a mistake as well when I wasn't watching. He's now behind Johnny Damon by a fair chunk, 1.8 seconds. So Damon up to 5th, Obama down to 6th. Chase pits in and retires from the race. He's had enough, it seems. We're now down to 12 cars. The gap between the top two continuing to increase. It's now 18.7 seconds between Vermeer and Cam Tizzle. Really no competition at the front of the field. And we have Cam, who is in a battle with Profodes. I don't know how good the undercut is going to be for the Red Bull driver. We're going to find out as Cam Tizzle reacts to Profodes pitting the lap before he is in. Are we going to see a front wing change at all? Doesn't look like it, so it's not going to cost him any extra time. On go the mediums. He was almost held there by Matty Robbo. Almost. Eager which he's in for hard compound tyres. Where is Profodes? Well, he's currently stuck in the middle of a sandwich. He's in front of Blade, behind Graham. Cam comes out in front of them all, but he's on cold tyres. Oh, and a spin from Grimm. He loses control at turn 3 and tumbles down to 9th place. Profodes on warm tyres. He's got battery to play with too. Closing in on Cam Tizzle. He's still got a fuel problem though. He's 0.8 under. He has not recovered any fuel whatsoever. Sure, he was anticipating a safety car at some point during this race, I mean at Singapore, so it's fair to anticipate that, but we haven't had one yet. Maybe Profodes is in a real predicament when it comes to fuel. No Name making up a place, he's up to 9th. Cam hangs on. the skin of his teeth. Those tyres should be pretty close to optimal temperature now. He should have grip. Just in front though is Obama Chicken in the Ferrari. He's yet to make a pit stop. Depending on what he does at the end of this lap, could have a massive effect in this battle. This three-car fight, battling for what is provisional P2. Yellow's out. Oh, it's Damon! Damon has spun at the exit of turn 19. Oh, and luckily he gasses it up just before Matty Robbo arrived at the scene. So Damon, he'll pit, move off those hard tyres. No Name moves up to 8th, and Obama elects to stay out. He is not pitting just yet, and he does not have to give way. We head down towards turn 5. Cam round the outside. Obama down the inside. Somehow they don't make contact. Profodes now gets by the Ferrari. He moves into P4. Blade round the outside at turn 6. Down to turn 7. Gets in front. Obama now down to 6th position. How did that not result in an accident at turn 5? Side-by-side through there was incredibly tight, and somehow they all got through. Yellow's out. I do believe that's for Grimm making some sort of mistake. In 12th place, 2.1 seconds behind Andre in P11 and Johnny Damon in P10. Into the pits goes the race leader. No pitting off those hards onto a set of mediums. Away he leaves. And I imagine Acid Masters won't be too far off his pit stop either. Huge gap between the top two. Vermeer will maintain his race lead, even if Acid elects not to pit. But he does elect to pit. Pulls the car up. Into pit lane. Cam maintaining 3rd, now jumps up to 2nd. Profodes up onto the podium places in 3rd, but he does have a fuel problem. Electric Blade in 4th. Matty Robbo up into 5th position, again proving what keeping out of trouble gets you in online league racing. No Name, P6. Acid Masters now in 7th, followed by Obama. Here comes Stubley closing in. He has to make another pit stop. Those tyres can't make the distance from here to the end of the race. They're already 10 laps old. Profodes half a second behind, 6/10 of a second behind, making his way around turn 9 up towards the Singapore swing. Fuel situation minus 0.79 under. Almost a lap under fuel. That's really bad, because I checked that ages ago, back when the lap count was in single digits. He was 0.8 under, 0.7 under, and he hasn't recovered any of it. So Profodes is in big trouble. Some other driver. Yeah, look at that. Minus 2.8 laps under. Acid Masters is in huge trouble when it comes to the fuel. Johnny Damon, he's 0.2 under. He can recover that. Andre's 0.7 under, just like Profodes. But Acid Masters, he's well and truly screwed if we do not get a safety car at some point. Race leader minding his own business. The gap 18.0 seconds between the top two. Damn, he doesn't have to fight Profodes too hard. Profodes has to do a lot of work to get his fuel back, and the only way he can do is by utilizing DRS and coasting a lot. I mean, 0.7 is going to be almost impossible to recover with only 12 laps to go. 2.8 laps under is completely impossible to recover with 11 laps to go. without a safety car anyway. He desperately needs a safety car. If he doesn't get it, he'll be running out of fuel with 2 to go. His race will be over. Grim, a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. He's sort of stuck in no man's land right now. Matty Robbo also gets a 3-second time penalty, a bit uncharacteristic of Matty there, but regardless, he's got a time penalty. That will hurt him in his chances of attacking Electric Blade, trying to take P4 away from the Alpine driver. We've got a long way to go in this race. We've got 11 laps to get through. Nowhere near the end of this one. He's doing all he can. He's still using battery though. He's recovering fuel. No, he's 0.8 under. Yellow's out. It's no name. Spinning. Oh, he's bonked the wall as well. No damage though. Well, at least no visible damage. Stubbly closes in. This will get tight. Here we go, to the outside. Then into the inside line, heading into turn 7. Oh! Contact! What was that? No name trying to force it in. Here we go, down into turn 8. I don't think this is over. No name's trying to hang on to this. Oh! Contact! They're hooking up! As we head around turn 9. What is this? What is going on? Why was that necessary? The two drivers hooking up through turn 7 and at the exit of turn 8. I thought Stubbly was going to get that done, but no name properly sent it around the outside, making contact. Had to use all of the runoff area to try and hang on to the position, so Stubbly could argue that, oh hello, I'm going to interrupt myself, as Profodes has spun at the final corner. He now has Electric Blade and Matty Robbo closing in on him. But as I was saying before, Stubbly has more than enough evidence to try and argue the case that No Name running wide, abusing the track limits to try and keep the position. Yellow's out, it's Grim at turn 18. We're going to keep our eyes on this though. The pass is made. No contact. Grim gets pointed back in the right direction. He decided to flick spin the car instead of backing it up. No Name. Stubbly. Stubbly darts right. No Name follows. Looks to the inside. What's going? Oh well, Stubbly hit the wall on the outside. There was a light bit of contact at turn 7. As Grim spins again at the final corner. Johnny Damon and Obama Chicken are also battling away around turn 8. Obama gets in front. Around the Singapore sling. Yellow's out again, it's Grim. Spinning at turn 2. There goes the race leader. Over the Anderson Bridge. Johnny not close enough to try and make a move. Stubbly closing in with the power of DRS. He's not close enough to attack into turn 14. What a peculiar battle between No Name and Stubbly right now. As Grim spins again. Bro, just calm down with the accelerator, yeah? Just chill. Keep an eye out. Go straight on there at turn 7. Bonks the wall out of 8. Spins the car again. He's going to cause an accident if he's not careful. Johnny Damon moves through into 9th place. Stubbly looking to try an attack here. DRS open. Oh, this is tight. Round turn 6, down towards turn 7. Stubbly gets in front. No name. Oh, gets round. Two drivers didn't make contact. And P2 prefers P3. Trying to pull away from Blade and Matty Robbo. Robbo on the back of Blade. So he's worked hard to catch up, but unfortunately the 3 seconds in time penalties going to hold him back. And the final 2 corners back onto the main straightaway. DRS open down towards turn 1. Not close enough to go for a move just yet. Farmer 6/10 behind. This battle isn't over yet between these two. Stubbly's checked out. He's got 2.2 seconds over No-Name, but he still has to make another pit stop. Yeah, and I don't think those tyres can make it to the end of the race. Robbo down the inside of Blade there. That's for P4 on track at least. In order for Matty to try and hang on to that 4th place, he has to build a 3-second margin over Electric Blade. And one thing he does have in his corner is better tyre life. His tyres are only 7 laps old compared to 10 on Electric Blade's Alpine. He does have that advantage. No Name now has a new challenger. That's Johnny Damon. Looking around the outside here at turn 7. Oh, No Name almost pushed him off the road there. He looks down the inside, mate. Mate, that's pathetic. And Johnny spins into the wall. Obama checks up, tries to avoid contact. That is the most pathetic attempt of an overtake I've seen in some time. Just leisurely stick your nose in and cause an accident. And Johnny, now with hot tyres, is trying to get back in the right direction. Just needs to take it easy. Oh, well, he's not taking it easy. He's slamming the car into the wall. It's just like, why bother sticking your nose in? Who's that? Oh, it's Blade who was spun at the final corner. Man, driving standards in tonight's race are pretty poor, as Johnny Damon has crashed out, and that's caused a virtual safety car. Yeah, remove the other Ferrari. So he's crashed at the sling. My guess is, with the broken front wing, he tried to take the Singapore sling normally, and he just understeered into the barrier on the outside. That would be my guess. Probably coming in, No Name speeding into the pits. I honestly don't know what No Name's game was trying to go for that move, and not even fully committing to the move. He only put his front wing down the inside. That was it. And just sort of kept it there. He didn't bother checking out of the overtake. He didn't bother going in harder to tell Damon, hey look, I'm trying to attack you. As Profodes gives himself a drive-through penalty for speeding. Driving standards have just dropped in this race. Saw it in qualifying as well. Everyone's kept it together for a long time. Johnny's left the session. I don't really blame him for that. All the drivers just dropping the ball, not thinking. I know this is an endurance race. It's the longest race you've got. You need to maintain focus all the time. Some of the stuff I've seen is just poor. Just poor. You need to learn to maintain control of the car in every situation. I know this race is tough, the race is long, the race is boring. But can't go off doing silly things like that. Blades in as well. He got damage after his spin at the final corner. So he gets a new front wing as well as a new set of medium compound tyres. He'll go to the end on those. Aston Masters leaving the pit lane on a set of softs. Aston Masters getting a 5-second time penalty for crossing the pit lane exit white line. Driving standards, folks. Putting a lot of effort in, watching some pretty piss poor driving. Over here. Electric blade, what can you do? Got a medium, you've got battery, got DRS. Not going for it. Stays behind. And perhaps that is probably a wise thing. Stubbly on the soft tyre, he's got a lot of pace. So the likelihood of Blade keeping up with Stubbly on those tyres is very unlikely. Yeah, Johnny, I don't understand at all what No Name's game was there at 8. And even before that at turn 7, the way that he took the exit out of turn 7, it looks like he moved across right into your lane. You were lucky enough that you were far enough in front to avoid contact. And then he literally stuck his front wing in and just turned you. No other way of putting it. Just incredibly poor driving. And you've watched as many races as I've had. You know, you see some really silly stuff. It's not fun to watch. Watching silly driving, it's embarrassing. Thankfully there are still several drivers who have kept it tidy. Yeah, Singapore can be a tricky track. Noticed that with a fair few drivers during qualifying and over the course of this race. Fode's locks up to turn 14, so he's pushing hard. Still, I don't know why. He's low on fuel. Still 0.7. He's going to have a huge fuel problem heading on to the final lap. Matty might finish on the podium at this rate. Just standards of driving as Profode's pits. So what's Profode's game here? Pitting onto softs? I mean, he's not going to be able to get that fuel back. Oh yeah, that's right, he had a drive-through to serve. I'm like, why aren't they serving him? He had a drive-through, that's right. Oh my word, who spun? It's Grim again, this time at turn 2. It's going again. Completely forgot about that. Preferred had a drive-through penalty. He was caught speeding during the virtual safety car period, something I always say during streams when the VSC comes out. You have to keep your eyes glued to the delta. You can't look away from the delta. The moment you look away is the moment you get the drive-through penalty. You need to be fully focused on the delta. The moment you look away is the moment you get that drive-through. Like, I've only got 2 drive-throughs. Goodness me. The amount of time that I've spent racing on F1 games, as Grim has spun out again. And the Singapore sling gets rotated, gets pointed back in the right direction. It's going again. And both times I got the drive-through was because I wasn't properly paying attention to the delta. Granted, one of the times I got the drive-through penalty was when I was doing driver commentary. I was too busy talking to the lead commentator who was streaming the event. I wasn't properly paying attention to the delta, and I got a drive-through. And that was actually the first time I got a drive-through, as Obama and Stubbly are battling away for P6. Stubbly moves through. Obama down to 7th place. Electric Blade closing in. Actually, we'll keep our eyes on this battle, shall we? We've got Stubbly at the front of the train now, but he's on soft tyres, so he's going to drive away from the two behind. So the main battle we've got to keep an eye out for is the battle between Obama and Blade as Acid Masters pits. Grim. Acid Masters retires in pit lane. Oh yeah, that's right, he was 3 laps under fuel, so he didn't really have a choice. Grim, a 5-second penalty, he retired. Everyone, yeah, there you go. Yeah, Acid Masters was 3 laps under when it came to fuel, so he was basically out of fuel by that point. He didn't really have a choice. So we're now down to 9 cars. Andre is in the point, and here comes Electric Blade moving through into P6. And that's where he should finish at the end of this race. Matty Robbo will hang on to the podium so long as he keeps it together. Same with Cam Tizzle. And the podium finish. Ramu out in front. A leisurely drive for him here at Singapore. Barely had to lift a finger to anybody over the course of this race. Matty Robbo pits. Well, I suppose with the gap being that big, he can afford to pit. Set of soft tyres will go on the car. We'll go to the end of the race on those. Just needs to make sure he doesn't make a mistake and get himself in a position where he can lose that 3rd place to Preferreds. There we are. Nice and steady. Out of pit lane. It's going again. The gap now 21, 19, 17, 14, 13. 11 and a half seconds between Matty and Preferred. Round the final 2 corners. Back onto the main straightaway. Vermu will begin the final lap here at the roundabout. He's got 1 into turn 2 and around turn 3. Needs to be a tidy lap. He might go for fastest lap. Might bring up the lap data telemetry just to have a look, because I reckon he might be tempted. That's No Name in front in the Mercedes. Vermu heads up to his first sector split. He's down by a 10.5. He is low on fuel as well. To be honest, the points that he scores for this race win is going to extend his championship lead by some amount. He already has a 16-point lead with the 25 points he'll score today. That will increase to 41 points with 2, potentially 3 rounds to go. Yellow's out. That is Andre. He's out of fuel. He is out of fuel in his AlphaTauri. Through the final sector for the final time for Vermu. An absolutely faultless drive, an unchallenged drive in Singapore. It's a shame that Bama wasn't here to contest this event. It doesn't take away the fact that Vermu has put together a very, very clean drive. He'll be our race winner, our victor for the Singapore Grand Prix. Stubbly. Oh my goodness me! What has happened here? Preferreds, Blade and Stubbly. A massive accident at turn 7. What on earth happened? Preferreds is out. Blade has got massive damage. What on earth was that? Obama is going to move by Blade. Blade has got a completely destroyed wing. What happened? I thought this was going to be a fairly mellow end to this race. And suddenly we have a humongous pile-up at turn 7. And Cam's been disqualified. Why has he been disqualified? Did he? No, he started on the hard tyre, went on to the mediums. So he's been inadvertently disqualified. And Obama can't find a way through. He's having a look now. Gets in front. Blake gets a 10. My goodness. What was any of that? No podiums. There's no podiums. I'll go through the results as they stand right now. We have Vanu, our race winner, Matty Robbo in second, Obama chicken in third, Electric Blade in fourth, No Name fifth, Profodes, Starbly and Andre. Well, Andre finished. These two somehow retired at turn 7. Acid Masters classified 4 laps down, Grim, DNF, and a DSQ for Cam. No idea why there's a DSQ. Full complement of points for Vanu, so it's actually a 42-point lead he has at the end of this round. Alright folks, I'm going to say it straight up. That was pathetic. I don't mean that lightly. I mean that was actually pathetic. I don't know what on earth happened on that last lap. Some of the stuff I saw before that last lap was rubbish. It was complete rubbish. I'm usually quite the positive dude. I like to look at the positives more than the negatives, but the amount of negatives I've seen in this race was unacceptable. Just the amount of poor driving on display. Just insane. I don't get it. That's that whole race. Some really below average driving. Yeah. Let's see what the stewards have to say about that blade post-race. Because, if you saw a gap, you must have really sent it into that gap, because where the cars ended up, in the runoff area, you must have torpedoed in there, like Daniel Kiviat, if you were the cause of that. No, that was a terrible race. Had some good moments in it. Had a couple of drivers driving well, but just in general, really poor driving. Anyway, folks, I think with everything said, And done, it's time for me to end the stream. I've been Lane Everingham. Thank you everyone so much for watching. We'll see you next week. Maybe. We'll have to wait and see with attendance. For round 16 of the AM1 Championship at Shanghai International Circuit for the Chinese Grand Prix. Until then, it's goodbye.